What's up? Welcome to Founders Club. I'm Alex Lagos, and today we have Lauren Reed, founding partner of Reed PR. She shares how she went from an accidental entrepreneur, leaving an agency, to building one of Nashville's most respected firms. Lauren opens up about rejecting hustle culture, the terrifying but rewarding process of taking a 90-day sabbatical, and why she prioritizes her life outside of work to be a better leader. She also discusses her newest venture, Wealth of a Woman, which aims to heal women's anxiety around money and empower them to build true financial confidence. Let's get into it.
All right, Lauren, thanks for joining us on the Founders Club podcast. We really appreciate having you here. This is a podcast where we get to talk about all things starting a company and entrepreneurship and all of the fun things that come along with that. Generally, where we like to start is just kind of like the start of your entrepreneurial journey and where you got started, I guess was in 2012 is what it looked like. So what was that jump off point from corporate? Because I think you jumped off from corporate without a parachute.
Yes.
So
didn't plan on doing it that day.
Well, and that's the curiosity I have. So what was the turning point that kind of made that happen for you?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, you know, my entrepreneurial journey really started when I was about 8 years old in 1990, when I actually swore I would never be an entrepreneur.
Yeah.
So I grew up in a family of entrepreneurs, and all I saw was the roller coasters, right? Yeah. The feast or famine, and I associated it with lack of stability.
Yeah.
Not realizing you could do it differently, right? So I always said, I'm never going to be an entrepreneur. So right out of college, I knew I wanted to work in the public relations industry. So I got a job at an agency. I stayed there for 8 years, and it was an amazing 8 years. I say it was like dog years.
Yeah.
Because I learned so much about how to run a business, how not to run a business. A few years into that job, so I was the fourth employee there, and we grew to about 40.
Okay.
In a few years. I mean, it was pretty quick. So I got to experience high growth.
Yeah.
And it was great. You know, you're doing that on someone else's dime, right?
Yeah.
I'm learning how to run a business on, someone else, and gaining some amazing experience. A few years in, I'm a Nashville local. They moved me back here to open our Nashville office.
Okay.
So then I got another taste of truly starting this location from the ground up.
Yeah.
And, things are chugging along. I'm just in love with life, loving what I'm doing.
Yeah.
I'm pretty naive, as we are in our 20s, right?
Yeah.
And I'm thinking I am going to retire from that agency.
Yeah.
It was my first job. I thought it'd be my only job. And then one day, things just started kind of hitting the fan.
Okay.
And without going into that long story, it's a place where I couldn't be anymore. And about, I think, 8 of us quit on the same day.
Oh, wow.
I did not go to work planning to quit my job that day. I had no business plan. I had nothing. And when it happened, I wasn't even thinking at that point, I'm going to start a PR firm.
Yeah.
Right? I immediately go into survival mode, which is, I think, the hallmark of an entrepreneur, right? Is we just figure things out.
Yeah.
And at that point, I was the breadwinner in my family at that point, and I had a son who was 2. And I thought, I'm just going to stay home for a bit and freelance and have an easier kind of pace of life while I look for a job. But my intention was looking for a job.
Yes.
Because my background had, I incorrectly assumed from childhood experiences that I wasn't cut out for entrepreneurship, and I didn't want that life.
Yeah.
But it pretty quickly became apparent that I was never getting that job. That was 14 years ago.
Yeah.
So I met with a mentor of mine, Hannah Paramore Breen, who for many years who founded and ran Paramore Digital in town before it got acquired by a national agency. And I was like, hey, I've put in my notice. And I didn't put in my notice. I walked out with everybody else because it was a moment. It's like, do I sink with this ship or do I jump before it sinks?
Yeah, that's a tough decision to make.
And in a split second, it was, I'm going to jump before it sinks because I don't want to go down with it and have that, kind of on my resume. And I met with Hannah and I said, hey, I'm looking for a job. Freelance marketing, PR work, copywriting, whatever, but I'm looking for a job if you hear of anything. And she kind of got in my face and said, you're not looking for a job. You're starting a PR firm. You're an entrepreneur. Here's the phone number for my CPA. He can help you get things set up. Here's my banker.
Wow.
And I'd love to be your first client.
That's incredible.
So in that moment, I was just like, okay, I guess I'm starting an agency.
Yeah. What other choice, And it's interesting. So in that process, do you feel like, and I don't know where you were at with your previous company, was it like a CEO role when you were starting up the office here? Did you feel like you were at least ready to take on all of those responsibilities?
I feel so incredibly lucky because I started the Nashville office from the ground up and I had P&L control.
Yeah.
So, I brought in the business here. I hired, I fired, I did all of that. So I was really, really lucky that I got that experience.
Yeah.
I'm just so grateful for that experience and for my bosses at the time, even though, it didn't exactly end well.
Yeah.
I'm just so grateful for that time in my 20s, that decade. I was 29 when I left and started Reed. I'm so grateful for that. But it was a lot of figuring it out as you go.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. And that's everything in entrepreneurship. And I think it's having that muscle to figure out when things need to change and really taking your intuition to heart and figuring out how to employ all the skills that you've learned throughout that process.
Yeah.
But, it is a challenge to think going from, having that steady income and that backing of somebody else. So going into that process, did you feel like, I've got one client, but where did the rest come from?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Well, actually, what I thought was, and I'm sorry, Hannah, if you're listening, I'll just take her money and do work for her until I get a job. Is what I thought. Yeah. I think, for the first probably 8 months, I still looked at Indeed for jobs. Yeah. I can't believe I'm admitting that. But it really took a minute before I was like, oh, this is going to stick.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah, no, very much so. But, I was just pretty fortunate in that, the seeds I had sown, the 8 prior years of my career, I had a lot of people who were willing to take a chance on me. And, I was running a local version of a national office, but here in Nashville, everybody knew me. So it wasn't really a question of credibility or anything. It was just oh, well, and then that agency ended up shortly thereafter closing down. So that, of course, old clients then were able to come back to me, see, hey, what are you doing these days?
Yeah.
No, but absolutely. But I will say, within 7 days, within 24 hours, so I had Hannah and then I had one other client with someone I had worked with years before. And they called and were like, it was a hotel out in New Mexico. And they called and were like, hey, we're opening a new property. We want to talk to you about PR. And I'm like, well, funny, you should. And they're like, are you still at XYZ? I'm like, funny, you should ask. So I actually was able to lock that down on the phone.
Oh, awesome.
So within 24 hours, I had doubled my salary at the prior agency. Wow. So I'm like, okay, this entrepreneur thing could be fun.
Yeah.
And then within a week, I actually had enough work. I had to figure out a hire.
Wow.
And I was just like, okay, I guess we're in. I guess we're doing this.
That's interesting. And what was I know because the media landscape has completely changed.
Oh, gosh. The services we offered on day one.
That's what I'm wondering.
Yeah,
that's what I'm wondering. What were the starting services that you launched with?
Media relations, thought leadership. The core and foundation of marketing and PR is still the same, right?
Yeah.
It's, speaking from the PR lens, is the true definition is, the communication between an audience and its public, or an organization and its publics, its audiences.
Yeah.
That can mean so many things, right? I joke, it's like this broad definition that PR came up with so we can throw everything under it and say, no, that falls under us. But really, that could be email, that could be content, that could be launch parties, launch events, media relations. The biggest core change would be we now offer services that did not exist.
Yeah.
Influencer relations.
Yeah.
What was that 14 years ago? And we were heavily focused on media relations. We no longer take clients that are exclusively media relations because it's not as effective as it was.
Yeah.
And in a lot of ways, it's kind of a vanity play.
For sure.
But there's a place for it in an integrated campaign.
Yes.
But if someone's really wanting to move the needle with just media, like we have to sit down and really have a long and hard discussion. Why?
Yeah.
Why? We're taking it out of our control if it's going to convert at this point, right?
Yeah.
No, very different services at the beginning.
Well, yeah, it's just interesting. Yeah, the channels, I guess, have changed a little bit.
Absolutely.
And the way that people consume media is just completely different now. It's bite-sized.
It is. But at the same time, you have to have the foundational core messages.
Yeah.
So to me, I always try to tell my team, it doesn't, like the tactics are going to change. They're going to vary from client to client. They're going to vary from year to year. A year from now, there's going to be something we're doing for our clients that we can't fathom right now.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, you really have to know your core message, and the target audiences and those foundational processes have not changed.
Yeah.
You still have to start with the research. You have to start with the end in mind, research, but then what is your goal and work backwards. Like the process hasn't changed. It's just, are we using a megaphone or something else?
No, that's really interesting. And so throughout that, that process, as everything's changing, was it just like hockey stick growth for you? Was it up and down? What was the process like?
Not at all. It was, I lived explosive growth at my first agency. I was never anti-growth. I don't want to make it sound like that.
Yeah.
But I actually had an employee at the time who would always remind me, she was so smart, we're going to grow like a flower, not a weed. A weed just goes right up and then it might not last. So we pretty consistently, the first few years you're just doubling in size.
Yeah.
You can when your numbers are that small, right? We hit our first $1 million within maybe 3 years. And then from there, it's really been like, we've had a few years where we've doubled, but 10, 15% really sustainable growth. I've had 2 more kids in the meantime, went through a divorce, got remarried. Like I've lived a lot of life.
Yeah.
And I don't know, I look back at the years where we've doubled in size. I mean, we went from 1.3 to 2.6 in a year. And I look at that and I'm like, I was a crazy person.
Yeah.
And that's just not sustainable to me.
Yeah. Burnout.
So, extreme burnout. So no, I didn't come into this. I'm not your typical founder who came into this with intent to sell. I've never taken equity from anyone. We've never taken investment. It was always, I love what I'm doing. I want to make this a place where I want to work, and I'm going to do this until it doesn't feel good anymore. Yeah. And at the same time, I'm going to make more money doing this than I can going and working somewhere else. Because why else would we do it, if we're being honest, right? Especially if you're not looking at it with, this is a play to build up our EBITDA and sell, which I wasn't. Ironically, I am now, like we are now on a succession track, but I wasn't. That was never at the forefront of my mind. So no, it was just very steady growth. Every year I just would look at, inflation, our clients, and then I would look at my personal life. Yeah. Am I having a baby this year, right? Am I taking a maternity leave? I say that in air quotes because any entrepreneur who's taken a maternity leave knows, you still got to make payroll.
Exactly. So. Yeah. So do you feel like in that process you proved your preconceived notions wrong about entrepreneurship?
Absolutely. Oh yeah. I actually, when I started talking about Hannah, I meant to loop back around to this. Is a few months later, we're having lunch and at Midtown Cafe, which is actually a client now. So that's kind of fun. But we're having lunch and I was explaining to her, she asked me that same question. And I was like, oh my gosh, I'm so much safer now because before one person held my entire future in the palm of their hand, right? Any day they could say, hey, Lauren, you're gone. Or what happened is, hey, I had one person providing my income, right? Yeah. And then when things started to go sideways and people are leaving, and it's all of a sudden that one source of income's gone.
Yeah.
Well, at this point, when Hannah and I are talking a few months later, I probably had 6 sources of income, and I'm like, I feel so much safer now. I feel so much more in control, actually. It would take 6 phone calls for me to be destitute versus just one.
No, absolutely. Much more diversified on that. And what do you think, do you think you ran your business different? Like, it sounds like you have a much more practical way of looking at business. And a lot of people that I talk to in the startup world don't. It's all growth until they burn out.
Right.
So like, what has your thought process been? And like, how do you keep your mind in the right headspace so you don't go off track?
I think the greatest blessing I've had is seeing a company I loved and worked for go under.
Yeah.
And when you live that, you will do anything so that it doesn't happen to you.
Yeah.
And I mean, honestly, childhood, like my father was an entrepreneur, and he had some great businesses and great ideas for about 90 days, right? And so I think the biggest blessing is watching things not work out and kind of asking yourself why, and like doing a postmortem. And really, for me, I really always looked at this as, so I'm an Enneagram 7. I don't know if you're into the Enneagram, but I want to find joy in everything I do.
Yeah.
And I'm doing this to find joy. And number one, I didn't want a boss.
Yeah.
I'm like, which yes, my clients are all my bosses, and sometimes I feel like my employees are. But it was like, I'm finding so much joy in building something for myself in an industry that, I just loved PR and marketing.
Yeah.
Like in college, I was a PR major for my freshman year. Like I loved the industry, and I just felt so blessed every day to be able to make money and provide for my family doing what I loved.
Yeah. What advice could you give to someone starting out who's like trying to find that love? Because it is challenging. You have all these stakeholders that rely on you. Your team members, your clients, their employees.
It's a lot of mouths to feed.
It is. And so that can be stressful for a lot of people, and everyone kind of lives their life a different way to try and deal with that stress. But for you, like, what makes someone a good entrepreneur for the long run? What can they do to kind of maintain that level-headedness?
That's a great question. I don't know that anyone has asked me that. For me, my faith has always just been such a big part of my journey and everything I do. And I say my business has had a team of guardian angels from day one. I can count the things that should have taken us down, from an employee stealing and embezzling to, COVID. If you were an entrepreneur in COVID, especially in a, marketing agency.
Fun times.
I had just moved into our beautiful brand new office space I signed a 10-year lease on. So
that's
March
rough.
20th or so, I legitimately am Googling bankruptcy. What does bankruptcy mean? Am I going to go there?
I think we all were looking at
right? And then what is this PPP thing everyone's talking about? Gosh, I'm feeling triggered right now talking about it. I'm sure we all are. I think to maintain the level-headedness, you need to have a love outside your business. Your business can't be your only love.
Yeah.
And for me, the early days of my business, and now that I'm kind of in the early days of another startup, or a year in, but it feels, early days, I'm having to remind myself, oh, wait, when I started Reed, I was consistently marathon training. I consistently had a reason to leave the office at 6 p.m. to make it to the trails before it got dark. Like, I consistently had something else that was important to me, another passion besides my business. And what I found for myself is I need that. Otherwise, I don't know when to turn it off. So I need some forced parameters, like guidelines and guardrails around me, to ensure that I'm prioritizing, because I also know myself. And whether I put 40 hours a week in or 80 hours, and I've done both, the end result's usually the same for me. So
a lot of us feel that. And I feel the same way. I've ran a marathon. I just need big goals to keep me on track. But I think a lot of people, like, the culture now is starting to change, I think, for the good.
From the hustle life.
That hustle culture.
I agree.
So
I love it, actually. Do you mind me asking how old you are?
36.
36.
Yeah.
So is that millennial still?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm like the oldest millennial. I'm turning 43 in a few weeks, or November. I don't know when this airs. But, the very beginning of my career, I worked for boomers. So that was you put in your time, you earn your keep. It doesn't matter if you've wrapped up your work. You're at the office till 5 o'clock.
Yeah.
Watching the clock. So I was kind of trained in that, and it took me a minute to untrain myself.
Yeah.
From that, when I started the business, it's not by design. I do have an all-female team. They're starting to become moms, which is the coolest thing to watch. And I'm watching the culture shift internally. Yeah. And I love that. I love it. I always tell them, we are working to live. We are not living to work.
Yeah.
And what we do, it's important work, but it is not rocket science. And I don't want you losing sleep at night over it.
I mean, that's just a great culture to set, because I think, your kind of ethos is being an employee first, team member first culture.
Absolutely.
And with that, how does that affect your relationship with clients and their expectations of you?
Yeah.
Do you feel like you get better clients that respect your boundaries, or how does that work?
Not always.
Yeah.
Clarity is kindness. We had one particular client who I remember we do summer Fridays, and we have for probably 8 years now. It's not required, but it's okay. If you can log off at noon, please do.
Yeah.
Right? Now, is my team working a little longer on Thursday to make sure they get their summer Friday? Sure.
Yeah.
But I actually had a fellow business owner and client call me and is like, it's really irritating when I can't reach your team on Friday afternoons. And I'm like, you can't reach them. And they have set away messages.
Yeah.
Out of the office, but text me if you need me.
Yeah.
But her perspective was, we're a company that was a more blue collar company, a service industry, and my employees don't have the option to do that. And so that kind of took me aback, okay, I hear you.
Yeah.
But I'm not going to change my company.
Yeah.
I'm just not.
Yeah.
We might not be the best cultural match for each other. But, we have a lot of clients who really appreciate it. And to me, the best client trusts the owner, right? The best client to me trusts me to lead my team in the way I see fit, in the way that's going to provide them with the best product.
Yeah.
And we're really, really fortunate. I would say right now we're 100% there with our clients. But over the years, we've all had clients
Tough
who
clients,
might not have been the best fit.
Yeah.
But I always take it back to, and can you let me know can you give me an example of how this is impacting quality of work?
Yeah.
And typically, they can't.
Exactly.
So
yeah.
That's kind of where I go with it.
I mean, and that's the thing. I think happy employees create a better product. And
Absolutely.
so I think that's
less turnover.
Yes.
I mean, what our clients really should be worried about is if we had extremely high turnover, because that does impact them. I don't care what any owner of an agency says.
Yeah.
Oh, this turnover won't impact you. I'll step in and do it, whatever. I've done all of it.
Yeah.
No, turnover impacts the work. It does.
100%.
So.
And I think that's such a great example to set for your team too. Especially, you're a family person, it sounds like. Mm-hmm. And so managing that, we all have lives. And that's the thing. I think we're getting back to kind of the core of who we should be. We expect everything immediately.
Right.
But then we also don't want to be expected something of constantly being called at 9 o'clock at night for some, fire.
Something we did, because we do have a really flexible culture. But something that we have had, I don't know if it was day one or if I integrated this within a few years, but our clients know this. We have a 4-hour rule. We will respond to a client within 4 business hours. So, and our clients know this up front too, when we're hey, here's how this working relationship's going to go. If you email me on Monday at 8 a.m., you will have a response by me at noon. It doesn't mean you're going to have what you asked for by noon.
Yeah.
But I'm going to acknowledge you and I'm going to tell you my plan. Thanks, I'm looping Brooke in to handle this for you or whatever.
Yep.
But that being said, if you email me at Friday at 10 p.m., you're going to get a response Monday morning. Unless it's urgent and we have a crisis fee for that.
Yeah.
Right? And now there's always exceptions.
Yeah.
If we're working a weekend event for a client or there's a big media, hit on a Saturday, like that we're excited to share with our client. But I think it's really, if you're going to have that sort of flexibility, you also have to have the not so fun rules to where your team knows, like, oh, okay, I have 4 hours. And that 4 hour, like on our summer Fridays, that doesn't stop.
Yeah.
Like if a client reaches out to you, you know, via text because it's urgent, you're going to still get back with them.
Yeah.
Like summer Fridays are a privilege, not like a right.
Yeah.
Is what I always say.
No, that's a good perspective.
And we do it all year too.
Yeah.
So, summer Fridays, winter Fridays, spring Fridays.
That's great.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, because people, and you know, in business culture, a lot of people peel off anyways on Fridays. So
nobody wants to be the person to send, you know, a Teams notice for a 3 p.m. on Friday meeting. Exactly. Come on, like, yeah.
Yeah, you get it. You get it. No, but you know, all of this is kind of like leading to now where you're at now in your career. You've been doing this for quite some time.
Yeah.
So, you know, I know some things are changing. You said earlier this year in our conversation that you took some time off.
I did.
So I'd love to hear your backstory on why you decided to take that sabbatical and how it went.
Yeah, that's one of my favorite things to talk about.
Yeah.
I took 90 days off and didn't check QuickBooks once.
That's crazy.
I turned over full financial control. So about 2 years ago, I just hit extreme burnout.
Yeah.
Where, you know, that moment where you might be on a Zoom with a potential client and you're talking, but in your mind, you're like, I don't want to be here.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And it was kind of a wake up call of I'm not giving my best. If I'm not giving my best, I need to walk away right now.
Yeah.
So I thought that, let's say this was March, I thought by next January, I'm going to take Q1 off. I got chicken and I didn't do it.
Yeah.
You know, there were some things going on. I just didn't do it. We were too busy. We had just landed a big client. We were having a high growth year. It didn't feel right. Leading up to that, I was training. I have 3. They were VPs at the time, and I was training them on every aspect of the company. You know, Catherine, who's our VP in charge of operations, every month when I would reconcile QuickBooks, you know, when I'd get the financial reports, like she would sit there with me and watch how I do it, right? I opened up everything, the books to her, which is also like...
That's scary.
14 years or 12 years at the time of like financial decisions I've made. I'm, you know, opening up the vest for someone else. But it's the only way I could step away is if I had confidence that they knew how I made decisions.
Yeah.
So after I didn't take it, the burnout it didn't go away by not taking the planned sabbatical. I just knew I had to do it. So we made it a goal in 2024. Like Lauren is taking a quarter off.
Oh, wow.
Like, and my whole team supported me. It was amazing, but we planned so hard for this.
Yeah.
We planned so hard for it, and it went off without a hitch.
Was it truly off?
Truly off.
Yeah.
I knew if I stayed in Nashville, it might not be. So we rented a place out in Colorado, and I spent all of Q1 out there skiing.
Oh, man, that's awesome.
I did. I would check in. I mean, at first, I will tell you, the first Monday after the holidays when I wasn't on staff call, I was like, what? And then it turns out someone announced a pregnancy, and I'm like, I'm not there. Yeah. So I had such FOMO at the beginning. By the end of it, I was like, I don't know how I can go back to that life.
Really?
I don't know how I can go back to the hustle. Like, even though we had a flexible work environment and everything, but just the being on all the time for your employees, for your clients, you know? Like, I have 4 kids.
Yeah,
like,
it's a lot.
The being on all the time, the constantly checking my email. I didn't realize how attached I was to my phone until I had no reason to be checking it constantly.
Yeah.
I'll go a whole weekend without looking at my email.
Really? That's awesome.
Sometimes I'll take it off my phone for the weekend just cause.
I'm taking notes right now.
Yeah, right? Yeah. It's scary. But once you do it, like, it just kind of hit me. I'm living a life that isn't sustainable for me. Well, in the middle of all that too, I started another organization. So that could have contributed to the burnout, if we're being completely honest.
I need a break, but I'm going to start something else.
I know, right? Yeah. I had just started the thing when I took the sabbatical. So I did work on Wealth of a Woman, which is my other project during that. But I have an amazing co-founder on that who we tend to ebb and flow with our roles within it. There are seasons where she's, like during my sabbatical, she's leading the charge. And then there are seasons right now where she's involved in another startup where I'm more hands-on with it. But yeah, I would challenge any entrepreneur. I cannot tell you how many people have looked at me and said, I can't take a sabbatical. You're crazy. You don't understand my business. No, I'm not special. If I can do it, anyone can. You just have to commit and plan.
It sounds like what I'm hearing from all this, it sounds like you're an incredible team builder. So do you have any advice on how to hire people that you can eventually trust to open up your books too?
I love hearing you say that because I don't think I've always been that. I think I used to hire people who were like me, which meant I was running a bunch of people who probably should be founders one day instead of employees. Yeah. I used to hire, if someone in an interview was like, I run marathons too. I'm like, so do I. I bet you're awesome, right? No, I think it's not, to me, it's not so much about the hiring them. I'm not an expert in making the right hires. I have resources and tools and coaches, and like we use the predictive index and other things. And I have a really, really amazing partner. So the 3 women who covered for me while I was out have now been elevated to partners. I stepped down as CEO. I never went back to Reed as CEO. Yeah. I actually don't have a day-to-day role within Reed. I don't have daily responsibilities, right? Now, I say that laughingly because as the owner, I have to make payroll every 2 weeks. But they're doing such an amazing job. It just hasn't been required for me to step back in yet. But I think it's more what you do with the employees when you get them. Yep. It's the training you put in. It's admitting to yourself, I'm not that special. This company can run without me, and I sure as hell want to try, right? I also have a former coach's voice in my head saying, short-term pain, long-term gain. We've all been there. We have this project come in. We know how to do it in our sleep, so we're just going to do it. Yep. Instead of teaching the brand new employee. Yeah. Right? Well, that's short-term. Like teaching the employee is short-term pain. Yeah. But it's going to be long-term gain. So I always really just try to, it's all about the coaching, I think, and patience, having patience. And I don't have a lot of it. Yeah. But knowing like you're investing in someone so that they can make your life easier one day.
It's tough to let people make mistakes too without jumping in. That's something that I've struggled with for a long time. Like I want to just jump in.
It's your company. It's your name. It's at the end of the day, it's my house is tied to our 10-year lease, not theirs. Exactly. Right? So I used to get caught in the trap of they don't care as much as me. They don't understand. But I wasn't giving them a chance to.
What was it though that changed that mindset? I've got my origin story for that, but for you, what was it that kind of shifted your thought process there?
I think it was my second maternity leave. So Annie is now 9. So the company was like 3 when I found out I was pregnant with her. So we had that pregnancy to plan for me to be out. Yeah. And it was very much, I think I just knew I had to. I don't know if it was one like story or pivot. I think at the end of the day, I have always prioritized my outside life over my business. Yep. And if I wanted to do that successfully, I just had to bring people along and pay them well and treat them well and make them feel a sense of ownership within the company.
So enough personal pain throughout that process.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And also watching a company I loved like so much kind of go under. Yeah. Like I just wanted to do things so differently. Yeah. So
that's interesting. So now I guess you're on this new journey. So tell me a little bit about Wealth of a Woman.
Yes. Oh, it is my complete passion right now. So Wealth of a Woman was founded in October of 2024, which was the 50-year anniversary of the Equal Credit Opportunity Act. Do you know what that act did?
No.
Most people don't. No. I didn't know until about a year and a half ago. It's kind of going to blow your mind. How old's your mother?
She is 70.
Your mother's 70.
Yep.
Okay, so she was born. So in 1974, pre-1974, okay, she wasn't allowed to get credit in her own name.
Really?
So isn't that nuts?
That is nuts.
So it's the 50-year. It was the 50-year anniversary of women actually obtaining the rights to get credit in our own name without getting our father or our husbands to co-sign.
That's incredible.
So this actually dates back hundreds and hundreds of years. And my partner, Teresa J.W. Bailey, is the history buff on all of this. So I only know enough to be dangerous. So I'm glossing over this for sure. But it started in like colonial England under something called coverture law, which women were actually the property of our husbands or our fathers. We couldn't own our own property.
That's crazy.
So all of that, over the years, things got better. But it was actually 1974 when it became illegal to deny a woman credit.
That seems nuts.
In her own name. That's not that long ago.
I know.
It's not that long ago. So what brought Teresa and I together, and she's been my financial advisor for years, and then I did the PR for her company, Waddell and Associates, for years. And we would always just have these conversations about people's relationship with money, in particular women. A lot of entrepreneurs, we have that 3 a.m. wake up of payroll. How am I going to do this?
Yeah.
Or it's either like everything's going really well, the rug's going to get pulled out from under me, or things aren't going well and how am I going to fix it?
Yeah.
And I was sick of living a life where my attitude towards the world was determined by my P&L and my balance sheet at the office.
Yeah.
And we were just talking about how can we have healthier relationships with money? How can we encourage women to have healthier relationships with money? And Teresa hypothesized that, yes, we need to do this, but let's look at potentially why women are more susceptible to this. And maybe it's because our grandmothers couldn't even manage their own money. They weren't empowered to manage their own money. They couldn't go buy a car if they needed to. I mean, it's nuts.
That is.
And then so my grandmother who taught my mother, and by teach, I mean teach, air quotes, because she didn't teach her anything about money because she had never been empowered with money.
Yeah.
So passing down, really not a lot regarding money. So my mom had a lot of anxiety around money, which then I pick up on, hence me saying I'm never going to be an entrepreneur, right? Because I thought it meant you have no money.
Yeah.
Or you have a lot of money, but then it goes away.
Yeah.
Or in my mind, it just was a very insecure life. So Teresa and I, we just get to talking and we're like, we got to do something about this. Because then there's another stat that comes out. It's a study by McKinsey that by 2030, women are actually going to hold the majority of the wealth in the U.S., equal to the annual GDP of the entire U.S. economy. So we're like, okay, hold on.
Yeah.
So for hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of years, we're not empowered to even manage our own money. And then all of a sudden, a short 50, 60 years later, we're going to hold the majority of it. But yet women everywhere are walking around a little bit anxious about it.
Yeah.
Or a lot anxious in my case. So we were like, we've just got to do something about this. So we decided, okay, we're just going to create opportunities. It's a grassroots storytelling initiative designed to get women talking about money. And just to create healthier relationships. So we held an event at Soho House. I know you've been in the SOC room. We've been at events there together. And you're supposed to have like 100 people sitting in the SOC room.
Yeah.
Oh my God, we had 180 show up.
Wow.
Standing room only. Soho wasn't thrilled.
Yeah.
But we were shocked, but it's because like women want a place to talk about this. We don't really have places to talk about our anxiety, our fear around money, and how to create healthier relationships. And what we found is like we want to talk about our successes too, but like you can't do that, right?
Yeah.
It's not polite. So we come up with this campaign. It's called Bring Back the Dinner Party, but make it taboo.
Yeah.
And have the conversations your grandmothers couldn't have. So we bring together groups of women to sit around a table and we have conversation cards. We've had some really amazing partners like Studio Bank, amazing bank for entrepreneurs, just throwing it out there. They're not a client, but I just got to say it. They're bringing us in Monday night we have 48 women in 2 different locations. They're going to be in groups of, I think, 6. And we're going to have these mini dinner parties
That's
to get
awesome.
women talking about money. Just, hey, who do you turn to when you need financial advice? What's your biggest fear? What's a success you've had recently?
Yep.
What's a choice you've made you're proud of? What's a choice you've made you're ashamed of? And these parties have just really taken off. It's been so fun. And then we developed a completely free 6-session online course for women to just really take a look at what are your life values? What do you want your life to look like? And then build your financial plan. And we call it a spending plan instead of a budget. Feels less restrictive. Build your spending plan around that. It's like marketing, right?
Yeah.
Let's figure out our goals and then let's build the tactics. So we work with women on what do you want your life to look like? Me, I didn't want to live in the hustle culture anymore. I just didn't.
Yeah.
I wanted time to breathe. I wanted time to write. And so I was like, okay, my budget needs to be built to that. I don't need to look to my budget to tell me how I can live my life.
Yep.
So we have this course kind of showing women that process. We have some really amazing guest speakers on it, and it's completely free. So Wealth of a Woman it's just such a passion of mine.
It's so needed. I mean, so how can someone find information about that?
So our website is thewealthofawoman.com.
Okay.
If you go there, you'll find links to the course. You can request information on the dinner parties if you want to attend one that's already happening, if you want to host one. We'll send you the guide on how to do so.
Yeah.
And then we occasionally have events. We're both running other businesses, currently, which I'm not really in the day-to-day at Reed. But so we haven't done like a ton with it besides these dinner parties, but we just love it. And the feedback we've been getting from women is amazing that, oh, wow, like I didn't realize. So our first exercise we do with the women is called a financial lifeline.
Okay.
And I know a lot of people listening might be familiar with the Lifeline through Entrepreneurs Organization.
Yep.
Which is where you go and you map the highs and lows of your whole life and how it's impacting you today, essentially. So we do it just with money.
Okay.
And so many people get these ahas, like they'll have a financial low of, their mother with bated breath waiting for her debit card to go through, right?
Yeah.
I have that in college, like going to Subway, like, can I afford this $4 sandwich?
Yes, it went through.
Yay! Breathing the sigh of relief. But like so many women just have ahas, and I've had personal ahas. I thought I had done the work, but at the end of the day, I was doing the right things, becoming debt-free, investing, listening to my people, doing the right things. But like the knot in the pit of my stomach at 3 a.m. hadn't gone away.
Yeah.
So that's really where Teresa and I were like, there's so many people giving amazing financial advice. We're going to address women's relationships with money.
I love it. That's incredible. I think, that's going to be huge for people, and we're looking forward to seeing you do that. I know we're coming up on time here. Absolutely. I could talk to you all day, but appreciate you joining us on Founders Club Podcast, and look forward to chatting soon.
Thanks, you so much for having me.
Yep.